about a little resort town called Margaritaville. You may have heard of it. Watching the sun bake, all of those tourists covered with oil, giving it on sponge cake. Oh, watching the sun bake, all of you everything covered with oil.
Jimmy Buffett, a symbol of an era of carefree living. Blue oceans and salty cocktails once made the world believe that Margaritaville was a place where worries disappeared. The past was forgotten, and there was no need to return. He was a musician, entrepreneur, and writer. He also built an empire around the idea of escape. But what happened when the creator of this paradise seeks to escape from it after his passing? An old wooden house in Key West, once a secluded writing retreat, had been abandoned for many years. It wasn't until recently that a real estate survey team discovered a cloth-covered journal hidden behind a shelf of tequila bottles and faded photographs. Inside, there were no songs or memoirs. Instead, there was a blurry confession, a map written in metaphor and memories no one expected. The pages tell of an obsession, a missing friend, and a recurring name, Captain Bonefish. In today's video, we will follow the trail of this final journal to uncover the truth behind Jimmy Buffett's smile. We will explore the things he once hid within the paradise he created. Perhaps the truth will make you never look at Margaritaville the same way again. The man who brought the ocean into music. Jimmy Buffett was not just a singer or songwriter, he was a cultural icon. The man who created a world where the sound of the ukulele filled the tropical sunset. People were allowed to slow down, relax, and live freely, like the sails drifting on the open sea. From a humble artist, he rose to become an author, actor, and savvy businessman. But above all, he was the creator of the Margaritaville lifestyle, where music and the spirit of adventure blended into a philosophy of life for millions around the globe. Born on December 25th, 1946, in Pascagoula, Mississippi, Jimmy grew up in the coastal areas of Alabama, in a family with a strong sense of discipline and hard work. His father, James Delaney Buffett Jr., worked for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. His mother, Mary Lorraine, kept the family grounded. Both passed away in 2003, leaving a deep void in his life. Jimmy was the eldest of two sisters, Laurie and Lucy, who were always part of his childhood memories. As the family moved from place to place, leaving behind a touch of warmth in each town. But it was the years spent by the sea, where he listened to stories about the ocean from his grandfather, a steamship captain from Newfoundland, that ignited the spark for music and dreaming. That childhood memory where the sea was not just a backdrop but a lifeblood became the soul of Jimmy Buffett's music. Raised in a strict Catholic environment, he attended school under the guidance of Jesuit priests and even served as an altar boy. This was a far cry from the man who would later wear a Hawaiian shirt, sit by a cocktail, and sing about life as a one-way trip. The shocking accidents. Not only did Jimmy love the sea, but he was also passionate about the skies. He was an experienced pilot, owning several planes, from the classic Boeing Stearman to the luxurious Dassault Falcon 900, which was often used for tours and private travel. His planes, like the Grumman Albatross and Pilatus PC-12, were not just modes of transport, but companions in his journey of free-spirited, limitless adventure. However, Life was not always as smooth as his songs. In 1994, when taking off from Nantucket, Jimmy's Grumman-Widgeon G44 had a malfunction and crashed into the water. He miraculously survived swimming to shore with only minor injuries. As if fate wasn't ready to let him stop, he was kicked out of a basketball game in Miami in 2001 for overreacting, and ironically, the referee had no idea who he was. This incident later became a humorous anecdote among fans. In 2006 in France, he was temporarily detained after customs mistook vitamin B pills for ecstasy. This was a humorous mishap, but enough to make the headlines. In 2011, while performing in Sydney, he suddenly fell off the stage and passed out. Fortunately, a doctor in the audience revived him. When he returned to Australia the following year, he jokingly told fans, "Only I could fall to the beat." Despite enduring many storms, Buffett never lost his smile or his optimistic spirit. In 2017, he decided to change his lifestyle by cutting down on sugar and starch, quitting marijuana, and only indulging in sweets on Sundays. As a way of loving his body more in the twilight years of his life, turbulent marriages. Jimmy Buffett's personal life was not only tied to music and to the ocean, but also to deep emotional relationships, events, and changes that few knew about. He married for the first time in 1969 to Margie Washachek. However, this marriage did not last long, and they divorced in 1972. Shortly after, during a spring break in Key West, Jimmy met Jane Slagsvold, a University of South Carolina student. She came to visit the area and decided to stay with Jimmy, leaving her studies behind. The two quickly found love and married in 1977 in Aspen, Colorado. Notably at their wedding, the Eagles Band, which Jimmy had opened for in 1975, played music for the couple on their special day. Their marriage blossomed with two beautiful daughters, Savannah Buffett, who later became a famous radio host, and Sarah Delaney, a talented filmmaker. They also adopted a son, Cameron Marley, creating a loving family. However, even though it was a happy family, their life was not always smooth. Jimmy's party lifestyle and constant touring created challenges in their relationship. In the early 1980s, the couple faced a period of separation. Despite the turmoil after the storm, they found harmony again and continued to live happily together. A painful death and an unforgettable legacy. With a warm heart and a clear political stance, Jimmy Buffett was a longtime supporter of the Democratic Party. He performed for the campaigns of Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and many other candidates. He was unafraid to use music to convey social messages. In fact, he even changed lyrics to criticize controversial policies, which led to mixed reactions from some conservative fans. But he never backed down. He believed that art was not just for entertainment, but also to remind people. In May 2023, Jimmy was hospitalized due to a decline in his health, forcing him to cancel his performances. In August, he was placed under hospice care, spending his final days surrounded by family, friends, and loved ones in the peaceful setting of his home in Sag Harbor, New York. On September 2023, he quietly passed away at the age of 76. The cause was confirmed as Merkel cell carcinoma, a rare form of skin cancer that he had bravely battled For 4 years, President Joe Biden called him a musical legend, a fitting farewell for someone who left a deep mark on American culture. In April 2024, at the Hollywood Bowl, a special memorial concert was held with appearances from Paul McCartney, Snoop Dogg, Harrison, Ford, Pitbull, and others. Despite differences in style and generation, they all stood together on stage to honor a man who had touched the hearts of the world through his songs, stories, and spirit of boundless living. Jimmy Buffett was not just an artist. He was an era, an ocean of emotions, smiles, and a freedom that was never confined. Discovery in the abandoned house. In an abandoned house in Key West, where Jimmy Buffett had found peace in his final years, an old journal was discovered. It was not hidden in drawers or tucked away in a secret box. The journal had been concealed behind a shelf of tequila bottles, among empty bottles and faded photographs. The ordinary belongings of a past life full of memories, but inside the journal there were no cheerful melodies or sweet memories he had shared in his music. It was not like his songs where everything gently flows in the sunlight. Instead, the journal revealed a darker Margaritaville, a place Jimmy had never spoken of, a part of his life his audience never knew about. The smudged pages tell of his never-ending obsession about a missing friend, about a strange character named Captain Bonefish, whom he could never forget, a fictional character, or perhaps a ghost of the past that Buffett could not let go. The entire journal seemed like a confession from a man who always smiled, always sang about carefree living. Yet deep inside there were worries that would not fade, questions that were never answered. Who was Captain Bonefish? Was he a friend, a stranger, or perhaps a reflection of Jimmy's own fears about loss, about disappearance, without reason, or even a part of himself that he had forgotten along his journey? The dark pages of the diary, the untold story. Each page of the journal is like a missing piece, opening up memories that even Jimmy Buffett did not want to face. Alongside the smudged ink are hand-drawn maps, not leading to a tropical island bathed in sunlight, but to chaotic sketches, strange symbols, and marked points that seem to hint at an escape. These maps do not just show a journey. They trace the remnants of a long nightmare, a journey with no destination that Jimmy has not yet escaped from. In his writings, Jimmy describes a missing friend, someone he always thought had disappeared for reasons no one could understand. Perhaps it was a childhood friend, or perhaps a ghost from the past he had always tried to forget. But as he wrote, the emotions grew clearer. The unrelenting obsession with this missing friend turned into a dark shadow, following him through life. The fragmented memories were not gentle, but filled with fear and regret, things he never had the chance to resolve. And then, in each corner of the journal, the name Captain Bonefish appeared. At first, it seemed like an odd name, unremarkable, but it kept appearing, repeating over and over like an imagination that could not be shut off. Jimmy wrote that Captain Bonefish was not a real person, but the image of someone he could not forget, a hidden part of his soul, a symbol of torment, escape, and anxiety. The name was written repeatedly in moments of desperation, as if Jimmy were conversing with the dark side of himself without knowing how to break free. These journal pages were not just scribblings from an artist. They were a confrontation with oneself, a journey deep into a tortured soul, a battle that even his joyful fans could never have imagined. Perhaps these fans will forever know Margaritaville as a relaxing paradise, a place to escape. But in reality, behind every smile and song, there is a world full of wounds that never healed. The man who changed the course of music history. In 1961, in a small coastal corner of Biloxi, Mississippi, a 15-year-old Jimmy Buffett had an experience that would change his life forever. On a modest stage, a folk band sang their songs in the late afternoon, and Jimmy, sitting among the crowd on the sand, felt something light up in his heart. It wasn't the spotlight, but the closeness. The music that felt like it was telling a story. And right then and there, he knew he wanted to be a musician. Just a month later, Jimmy stepped onto his first stage at a local gathering, holding an old Stella guitar with the nervousness of a beginner in his eyes, but with a fire lit in his heart. It marked the humble beginning of an extraordinary musical journey that would last over 6 decades. In fact, music had flowed through Jimmy from an early age. In the 1950s, at just 8 years old, he played the trombone in the St. Ignatius School Band, a Catholic school where Jesuit priests taught him both discipline and a passion for performance. Jimmy graduated from McGill University in 1964, and during his years there, music became an inseparable part of him. Not just a passion, but a place where he felt most free. As he grew, Jimmy Buffett did not choose the path of a serious studio artist or a traditional stage star. Instead, he created his own genre, tropical rock music, soaked in sea salt sunlight, and a philosophy that life should always feel like summer. With his guitar on his shoulder and a relaxed smile, he told millions of listeners about simple yet profound things. Live slowly, love the sea, and never forget to dream. His songs, known as The Big Eight by his fans, became an unofficial anthem for those craving an escape. Margaritaville come, Monday cheeseburger in paradise. A pirate looks at 40. They were not just songs. They were pieces of a lifestyle. In 1975, he formed the Coral Reefer Band, the group that would accompany him in most of his live performances and later studio albums. With over 30 albums released, including 8 certified gold and 9 certified platinum or multi-platinum by the RIAA. Jimmy Buffett sold over 20 million albums. He was nominated for 2 Grammy Awards, and by 2024, after his passing, his name was officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. A late but well-deserved acknowledgement. He was not only a musician, but a living style, a storyteller like no other. The global tropical empire. Not everyone can turn a lifestyle into a brand. But Jimmy Buffett did just that. He did it naturally and quietly. Just as he entered the hearts of his audience, the melodies about distant islands, cocktails and hammocks swaying in the afternoon breeze were not just lyrics, they became a philosophy of life. From there, he began to build a whole world called Margaritaville. This brand was not just a chain of tropical-flavored restaurants. It was a living space for dreamers. Those who wanted to live slowly, live differently, live as if every day were Sunday. Jimmy expanded his influence into areas such as hotels, casinos, liquor, and even retirement communities. These were places where people could retire in Margaritaville style for the rest of their lives, not stopping at the stage or restaurants. He also became a best-selling author with books full of humor, relatability, and often stories with a sea breeze, just like the man himself. But if we only talk about his talent and career, it would be a great omission to overlook the community of people who followed him. Throughout the years, the Parrot Heads, these were the loyal, vibrant and wholehearted fans who were ready to wear parrot hats, Hawaiian shirts, and sing along with hearts full of sunshine. They were the breath of Margaritaville. The reason Jimmy was not just an artist, but a living symbol of a world full of optimism, generosity, and freedom. Political views. Jimmy Buffett was someone who openly expressed his political views. He was well known for his strong support of the Democratic Party and never hesitated to use his influence to support politicians he trusted during Bill Clinton's 1992 presidential campaign. Buffett performed on stage alongside Clinton to convey the message of change. He participated again in 2000 at the White House to support Clinton. Not stopping there, Buffett also hosted fundraising events for Barack Obama in 2008 and supported Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. In 2018, Buffett continued to use music as a tool for political influence, organizing a concert to support Gwen Graham in the Democratic primary for governor of Florida. He also campaigned for Andrew Gillum and Bill Nelson in West Palm Beach. In this campaign, he even changed the lyrics of some songs to criticize the policies of Rick Scott and Donald Trump. This led to mixed reactions from some conservative fans. However, for Jimmy, music was not just entertainment, it was a powerful tool to reflect and change society. The literary beast that made the New York Times bow down. If music was the beach where Jimmy Buffett played with melodies, then literature was the ocean, where he left each word like a footprint in the sand. Few knew that. Alongside his guitar and microphone, Buffett was also an excellent author, with 3 books making it to the New York Times bestseller list. He achieved something that not every singer could boast of. His first 2 novels, Tales from Margaritaville and Where is Joe Merchant, were huge successes, remaining on the bestseller list for over 7 months. But the achievement that elevated him to the rare ranks in the art world was his memoir, A Pirate Looks at 50, published in 1998. It immediately topped the non-fiction book charts. With this success, Jimmy became one of the few people to top both the fiction and non-fiction lists. This was a rare milestone in a literary career, not stopping at adult audiences. Buffett also expanded his storytelling heart to young readers. Alongside his eldest daughter, Savannah Buffett, he co-wrote 2 children's books, The Jolly Mon and Trouble Dolls. These stories were infused with the sea breeze and innocence. The original edition of The Jolly Mon came with a special cassette tape where Jimmy and his daughter read the story aloud. This was a warm family experience accompanied by music composed by Michael Utley. It turned each page into an adventure for both ears and hearts. In 2004, he released the novel A Salty Piece of Land, which was another hit and in a unique connection between the 2 worlds. The first edition even came with a CD single of the song of the same name. It was a smooth transition from the pages to the notes, filled with emotion. His final work, Swine, not released in 2008, continued the familiar Buffett style, humorous, charming, and full of a love for life and the sea. Through each word, he didn't just write. He painted the world of Margaritaville with his words, with a light smile and the playful gaze of a storyteller who had never tired. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. We truly appreciate your interest as we explore the life and legacy of Jimmy Buffett. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to continue following meaningful stories and the latest updates about your favorite artists. Your support is the greatest motivation for us. Wishing you a wonderful day